Bronstein, and we're starting BRC for May 5th. First item is milestone CRR Phase 1 concept plan in Upton County. For information, this meeting is being recorded. Philip, if you're ready, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Neil. Good morning, everyone. So I mentioned this is a concept plan application for Millstone CRR Phase 1. The applicant's team received all the DRC comments last Friday. Just one item we do want to be sure to discuss today are the alley areas. While staff supports the overall layout, we'd like to better understand why the alley areas are so wide and how these would function. And if they could be reduced and additional landscaping included in those alley areas. So I'll turn it back over to the applicant to highlight your questions or comments.
Thanks, Philip. Matt Gordon from Selzer Gervich on behalf of the applicant, which is a joint venture comprised of MRP Realty and Harrison Street. We can talk about the alleys in a minute. I'll let the designers talk about that. But in general, we appreciate all the comments. We thought they were thoughtful and helpful, and we're still digesting them. And so what we did was we went ahead and scheduled like a formal pre-application meeting for June 1st. And we'd like to kind of submit a revised plan, 5 days or so ahead of that meeting to kind of talk through our adjustments to the plan based upon the design comments. And so we thought that would probably be the most productive kind of way to go through it, since there's a lot of different ideas. And a lot of them we think are good ideas. We just have to study them more. So that's high level from a process perspective, what we plan to do. In terms of the sort of specific comments, the one thing I think we didn't really make clear, which I understand now, is that on Milestone Center Court, it's platted. I think it's about 138 feet wide today. It's a residential classification, under the current master plan of highways, which I think the comments, maybe Justine or somebody's comments pointed this out, that's a 60-foot wide right of way. And then under the sector plan amendment, it could become a town center street, which is, up to an 80-foot right of way. What the applicant would like to do is abandon maybe 30 feet or so of the right of way that's not necessary, given the change in sort of classification, that there's much more that was dedicated than's needed. But we understand we gotta go talk to DOT and planning about the abandonment process. So that's another sort of step that we would potentially be pursuing with the applications we presented. But Fred or Matthew or James, do you want to talk about the alleys, that comment about sort of what our thought process is in terms of as we fine tune the plan?
I'm happy. Go ahead, James.
Matt, real quick, just a clarification, it would be a 68-foot abandonment on Milestone Center Court from 138 down to 70.
Okay. So I think that's why some of the comments from staff was confused that we had improvements in the right of way, and we should have explained that our thinking was we would try to pursue an abandonment for the portion of the right of way that's no longer needed for present or anticipated future use. But we can talk about that some more in a separate meeting.
And originally, when we were meeting with staff suggested that we try to use some of that right away for development. So, this was sort of picked up, and we think it's a good idea, and we can work through how, what it exactly wants to be. But in the plan, we basically have taken some of the right of way back that originally was given from this property to the county.
This is Rebecca from DOT. Which staff are you talking to? Because DOT should have been
not DOT, planning staff.
Right.
Sorry.
So
I should be more precise.
Right. And so when you meet,
staff was,
you should be talking to DOT staff about abandoning our right of way. So I think that we need to talk about what the, what I think internally we need to talk about Milestone Center Court. Because there is a proposal, or there was a proposal to connect it to Ridge Road. And so I think we need to talk and look at, you need to show a specific request, specific area for where you're abandoning and what's in there. And so if there are public improvements in there already, including utilities, then we can't abandon the right of way. Because in order to abandon right of way, it can't be needed for public use. And if there's utilities there, then that means it's being used for public utilities.
Okay, let's just set up a meeting.
Yeah, and then on the connection piece, Rebecca, where that arrow goes through so we don't control that portion of the property. And it's somebody else. So, but we agree with you. Our thought was to figure out what the future section of Milestone Center Court is, whether it's, 60, 70 feet, 60 feet, I don't know. But the fact is there's probably 50 or 60 feet or whatever. James said 68 feet. There's a lot of excess right away. So we'll follow up with a meeting with you as well as the transportation staff at planning to look at the section and what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, you still like Milestone Center Court to connect to Ridge Road, not necessarily cross it.
There is a potential for that because there was a discussion on,
Sure.
and I don't think it went, so I'm not sure exactly, but we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to prohibit it.
Yeah, and if there's a connection to Ridge Road that is no longer crossing, I think, I'm not tying you to anything, but I think we can have a conversation about what should that right of way ultimately be.
Yeah.
And does it need to be so wide if it's not going to be like
Right.
amazing?
But my point is that, like, if there's
Yeah.
utilities there, we're not going to abandon them.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would show like an easement, right, to allow for that connection when it exits our property onto others. So we're on the same page of figuring it out.
yeah. Okay, well, more discussion needed there, Matt, but
On the private alleys, I think that's where Matthew or James, do you want to jump in on sort of where we are in the design process and what we will do, looking at that, if we can narrow them.
Yeah, I think it's in our interest to, develop a tighter section. I think at this point we have not done hard engineering, so we wanted to allow us some flexibility to accommodate infrastructure, grading, lotting. And so I think as we continue to dive into this design, it'll get tightened up. But at the moment, we just kind of building in a little bit of flexibility in the site plan.
This is Richard with transportation. It's just hard, because I know you want to seek an expedited review. We do need more detailed information. I know we have that follow-up meeting scheduled, but in order for us to give guidance, we need more details.
Yeah, I think the plan is to take the next 2 or 3 weeks and start to put those details together, and that's the plan that we're going to submit prior to our pre-application. And do our best to detail as much as we can, including dry utility corridors, wet utility corridors, and things of that nature.
Yeah, we're trying to give ourselves a lot of time so that we can meet with staff probably multiple times before we file. There aren't any formal plans that are going to go in. We're talking 2 or 3 months from now. So we will, on the next stage, we'll show sections, and our intent is for the new streets, not the alleys, but the new streets to be public and to meet all the standards. We're not at this time. We're not thinking about asking for exceptions or anything like that. So that's the plan. But we'll, like James said, we'll come back in June. In late May, we'll share more details. But we know that there's a couple more steps in sort of this pre-application process to get it to a point where it can move in an expedited fashion.
So this is
Yeah.
Amy Lindsay with the Environment and Design Division. We really want to make certain that what does not get lost in this discussion about the alleys is that we don't just want them tighter than 60 feet. We want to see green in the alleys. We don't want to see these corridors between the units that do not have any tree cover, shrubs, whatever can fit. They need to be not just a whole new essential parking lot. These need to be well designed. And I understand that you're going to be sending this back in, but I just want to make certain that that you understand that we're not just asking for these to be narrower, we're asking for these to be
No,
cleaner.
I think your notes were pretty clear.
Right.
Again, we haven't gotten to that detail of laying out the utility to the back of the unit and the parking pad and the planting zone. It's just, again, it's a concept at this moment.
Yeah, James, in that regard, the exhibit that we put on an upload folder shows the typical block and the alleys, how you can help greenery the alley further. So we had some recommendation there and some precedent images. So hope you can see that on the next round.
Yep, and we received it, and yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, those were all the design drawings were helpful, Natasha. I think we tried to explain it in the justification statement, but we were really trying to work through the master plan that we had talked with Jamie and Patrick and others about. Sort of, we're in the middle of the sector plan, but the goal is to move this phase forward. So that was our primary concern. And then to talk about process, but we didn't expect you to comment on fully designed plans because we're not there yet. So we needed to take this step first. But we'll come back with more detail and continue working with you. But I think we got a lot of good feedback and direction, so we know where we need to go.
So I will say, Matt, if you can provide a utility showing where the utilities are, because I think that in the greening of the alleys, if you have utilities back there, then that conflicts with what the utility companies want. They don't generally want trees over there.
Yeah, that's part of our plan is because we want to, for like the PUEs, and I talked with Sam Farhadi about this briefly, but we don't think that we need, full PUEs on a lot of the streets. And so we have to do the utility coordination. We've got to advance the design. So I think when we come back later this month, we'll have a lot more information and we'll be able to, we scheduled the meeting for June 1st. So hopefully everybody that participated today will be in that meeting and we can move this forward.
The only other thing I'd like to mention is that if you resubmit through email, please include every single reviewer that provided comment so that everybody's on the same page. And so we don't leave anybody off. Okay.
Yeah, we could, if it's possible, I think we could probably, James could go back into the concept plan and submit everything through there when we follow up, but I don't know if that's even possible through the system.
I think the checking into that. This concept plan closes out. Wouldn't be able to do that now.
Okay, well, we'll just reply. I'll make sure it goes to everybody ahead of June 1st.
Yes. Hey, Matt, this is Robert. I think one of the issues that we're having is that if things are getting resubmitted through email, not everyone's being included, which is why what Rebecca just mentioned is really important that all the people that are on that email chain are included, because the way the concept plans are set up intentionally was that it stops at DRC. And so we understand that you have a lot more things to kind of figure out before you submit your next application. So I think it's really just more of a coordination issue to make sure that that everyone's included on the review. And we're trying to figure out if the concept plan application and e-plans gives us an opportunity to kind of, one, be a repository for other continued, submittals, but also looking at kind of the intent of the concept plan as we move on to the next steps.
Okay, yeah,
Just one note, the pre-application meetings, when you go through that only invites folks from planning, so I'll make sure to forward that to DOT, but just an awareness that that really only goes to planning, and if you need others there, please let us know.
Yeah. We're just trying to operate within your system. So we can't, I agree I talked with Rebecca about this. I think if you fix the concept plan and we could resubmit through there, you'd probably solve all these issues and make these expedited plans work a lot better moving forward. But we try our best to get the plans to everybody. We try to meet for many months before filing a plan like this, but we miss people sometimes. We're only human.
No, we understand. This is just what we're telling everybody, though.
All right. Well, we'll resubmit plans that address sort of the specific and the major comments. We understand a lot of the comments are standard comments, so we're not worried about those. But we'll get more detail back to everybody and meet again in June and keep moving it forward. But we do appreciate all the direction we received from the comments on Friday.
Anything else? Anyone else have comments?
The only thing is, Matt, I did talk about the park and ride lot, 250 space park and ride
yeah.
lot. We are looking for you guys to provide that at this point.
Yeah, we wanted to set up a meeting on that as well. I forgot about that. So perhaps we can talk with DOT about that when we talk about the abandonment.
Brenda and I are both out on Monday, the 1st. I'm actually out of town, so we can set up another meeting for another time.
Separate meeting for that would probably be better, so we can focus on design on June 1st. But I'll reach out to you, Rebecca.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Number 2 for DRC, 5506 Edson Lane is a concept plan in the West County area, and for your information, this meeting is being recorded. Go ahead, Saquon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Saquon Gatlin, lead reviewer for this concept plan. The plan presented 2 concepts for the site at 5506 Edson Lane in Rockville, and you should have received comments on Friday. And I also followed up with design comments that unfortunately didn't make it into DRC, into E-plans. So I'll turn it over to the applicant for any questions they have. I'll note as a concept plan, this application ends here, and we'll see if you come back in for a development plan in the future. So with that, I'll pass it to the applicant.
Great. Thank you so much, Saquon. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So obviously Heather Del Polsky, land use and zoning attorney with Wire Gill. And I apologize, I'm getting over being sick. I also have Elliot Toda. He is the applicant here. We very much appreciated the opportunity to submit this concept plan. We received all of your comments and reviewed them. I think overall, we're definitely happy to see that that the county and park and planning seemed supportive of rezoning here to allow development close to the corridor, Rockville Pike corridor. We did have some questions. I think some questions that are fairly quick. I think a few items that probably want to be the subject of more detailed drill down meetings. So I will start to walk through some of the things that we thought within the 25 minutes that we have, we would have time to touch base on. And then at the end, I think we can just talk about what sort of detailed drill down meetings we want to set on specific items, and then what agencies should be in that. Before we dig in detail, Elliot, did you have anything high level that you wanted to add?
He's muted.
Yeah. I saw a hand go up, so I think.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
No,
Perfect,
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank everybody for the time. Heather, go ahead. I'll jump in as necessary.
Okay, perfect. So probably in no real particular order here. I think Saquon, you had a comment suggesting that we pursue zoning to CRN1 rather than TF. And I think you said that we could maximize residential to density to 1 and commercial density to 1 for maximum flexibility. And we certainly love that idea. I think our concern there was that if you look at section 535A2, which is the CR zone floating zone standards, and if a floating zone is not recommended in a master plan, the following density limits apply. Because we are currently CRN and we're less than a ½ acre site, the total density can go up to a 1 FAR, but the C or the R component is showing as limited to only a 0.75, which would not accommodate the density here that we were proposing under the townhouse option. So that was our concern. Maybe I'm not reading it right and I'm missing something and there's more flexibility than I thought, but we just wanted to probe that a little bit.
Heather, thanks for responding to that. I wasn't writing the comment to say you should lean to one or the other. I was just wanting to get your thoughts on why that wasn't pursued, and
Okay.
And you answered that just now.
Okay, all right. So I'm not missing some special secret ingredient that would get us out of that restriction to the 0.75, huh?
No, not that I'm aware.
Okay, unfortunately, but that's okay. All right, so that was one of the things that we just wanted to touch on. I'll hit a few of the higher level items right now. I think also Saquon, actually, you also had a comment about why we were choosing the TF18 zone. I think it was a separate comment, but again, it was because the density was too low. Oh, sorry, actually, this was a comment related to why were we actually seeking rezoning, because the current zoning allows townhouse. So it's not a matter of seeking rezoning for permitted uses. It's because the current density limitations on the zone, which are only on the property, which are only a CRN 0.5, with the R limited to 0.25. CRN is a great zone, but the density limits are so low, it just really doesn't allow anything to happen here. So for something to happen, it needs to be either a higher CRN or something like the TF18 zone. So just wanted to clarify that. And again, I apologize for my voice and my sniffling here. We don't actually have a civil engaged right now. Elliot is working with a civil, but they're not formally engaged. There was a comment about required right-of-way out here being 70 feet. And I just wanted to see if anybody from the transportation or DOT side happens to know, and obviously we won't absolutely hold you to it, but we haven't had survey work done. Does anybody know approximately what the width of the right of way may be on Edson Lane at this time? Just like order of magnitude?
Did you look at the plats? Is there any plats around there that have been done recently?
We could definitely check that. That's a good idea. Yeah, we can take a look at that and just see. And I think that was either. Sorry, go ahead.
It might have been around 40 feet, but not sure. But that's
Okay. Okay, so quite a big difference between 40 and 70.
right.
Okay. Okay. I think that's probably actually something of a good segue into, I think what we see as sort of the biggest issues here. So it seemed high level from the comments that folks are supportive of rezoning, but obviously, as with everything, the devil's in the details. And I think it's so common on projects, especially at the concept plan phase, that one of the main constraints that we're trying to hammer out are sort of right of way and frontage improvements. Because obviously, if I guess an additional 15 feet of right of way dedication is needed, then there were also comments about shared use bike path, sidewalk width, and then coming into the site itself, not just right of way and street frontage, but coming into the site itself. There were numerous comments about if it's more than 4 units, and we were showing 6, it would need to be built to public road standard. But then there was another comment that actually suggested narrowing the driveway width to 12 feet, I believe it was, in order to allow for sort of restructuring and relocation of open space. So there was a lot of, I'll just sort of call them like constraints comments. And I guess we wanted to just probe staff's thinking a little bit more, again, both on the street frontage and right of way side, but then certainly coming into the site in terms of, I guess it also relates to fire access as well. I think this probably wants to be the subject of a more specific drill down meeting, likely with MNCPPC, MCDOT, and maybe certainly fire access is a component as well. But just wanted to get staff's thoughts a little bit more in terms of like the street frontage and then also, again, access coming into the site. Whoever wants to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I can start. This is Florence Dwyer. So yes, like we said, if there's more than 4 lots, then yes, it can't just be a driveway. So it could be, an alley, but it would have to be, to those public standards. And then, the dedication for sure will need to happen for the specific frontage improvements. We put in there what Complete Streets and the Bicycle Master Plan calls for. There's, always a possibility, I guess, of interim conditions, but we would want to start with, that what's in the master plan and the Complete Streets design guidelines.
Okay. And do you know for for public alley, if that's what's required to come into the site, do you happen to know the width that would be?
Are you getting fire access from it? Because that would potentially change the width.
That's a good question. And this is where it's, I know on the DRC agenda, I think I was listed as the engineer, but I haven't actually become an engineer. But I don't know, Elliot, if you have thoughts on that you want to speak to.
Well, I mean, yeah, the design of the site was based on the 150 feet limitation from more or less curb to final door. And while it wasn't necessarily exact, it was intended to sort of honor that.
So the 100, hi, this is Marie, Fire Department Access. So I'll be reviewing your plan. So the 150-foot rule only applies if your units are height restricted to 27 feet to highest window sill. So if these are 3 and 4 stories, 150 feet's not going to apply. 50 feet will apply. Do you know what your architecture is planning to be?
We have not gotten to that step in the process, but that's a pretty significant differentiator. So I
So yeah,
imagine we would
that's
look to accommodate it.
That's okay. So then if you height restrict, you can do the 150. If you don't, or if you have any parts of units that are superimposed over others, then that also restricts you back to the 50 feet. So your architecture really is going to play into this, but we can talk more later.
Okay. We appreciate that information, Marie. Yeah, and obviously I think it sort of illustrates the point that, you know, just that fire access, and we know this from other concept plans, and it's why this is so helpful to do a concept plan, that, you know, fire access, the frontage improvements, the circulation, it has such a, you know, critical effect on the layout of the site and, you know, frankly, what's achievable, and whether a project is feasible. So I guess, and I didn't see who actually spoke, but I think the question was when I said, what are the public alley width standards? And then somebody said it depends on whether we're getting fire access from the driveway. Is there an easy answer as to it would be X if we're not getting fire access from there, and it would be Y if we are, or is that a more complicated response?
This is Richard with the Transportation Division. I think it'd be 16 feet if there's no fire access and 20 feet if there is.
Okay.
But that's the pavement width. So I know there's also some.
Right.
With fire
so
access, there's
if it's access, the apron goes up to 35 feet wide. Send me an email and I'll send you the detail on what a fire department access apron looks like. So there's that to consider as well.
Okay. And now I know there was a comment, and I think it came, Saquon, in your supplemental comments that you sent to us. And that was the one that I read off a little while ago. And it said, if the proposed shared driveway does not accommodate the fire truck access into the site, that staff recommends reducing the driveway width to 12 feet. So I take it that there is the ability to seek a waiver to reduce width, I guess, at least in the instance that it's not providing fire access.
Sorry, again, I think it depends on if it's a driveway or an alley.
Mm-hmm.
And that really depends on the number of units that you're trying to serve.
Yeah.
The driveway, you can have 4 lots.
Got it. Okay. So this is specific to driveway here, this comment, as opposed to if it had to be a public alley.
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right, I appreciate that. I think that was Richard. So thank you for that. All right. Just looking through, you know, and I think frankly a lot of the comments relate to or sort of flow from exactly what we're talking about right now. And it's like, you know, you start pulling the thread and all of the other pieces get involved. So, you know, the fire access issue, the number of units, whether it's public alley or driveway, obviously the open space then, you know, flows from that, because we're talking about site layout and where can we have open space such that it meets the definition of open space and is usable and accessible to the public. I don't know, Elliot, are there other specific comments that that you want to go over on this meeting? Again, I think probably these sort of, I'll just call them layout and frontage issues, want to be a deeper discussion and, you know, maybe pulling in the civil at that point. But are there other topics that you want to cover on this meeting, Elliot?
I think I'd like to broadly ask, and thank you, Heather, for leading us so far. But I think the broader question I'd like to ask is that we submitted 2 concepts, right? 2 different concepts, one townhome, one mixed-use multifamily. And I'd love to get the staff's impression. You know, one contemplates remaining within the CRN zone, but simply adding density. The TF, obviously, moving to another zone entirely, and each one sort of presents its own unique set of circumstances in terms of the development limitations, the envelope, the fire access, etc. I would love to get some perspective from staff generally. We only have a limited amount of time, and as to which one maybe strikes them as more viable, given the various constraints, both from a rezoning and land use perspective, as well as from an actual implementation of development, given all the constraints that we've started to speak about.
Sure. So I'll start with that and then pass off to my other planning teammates have any comments as well, but we wanted to just make sure you presented your reasoning so we can consider that. And I think staying within the CRN offers you some sort of flexibility that is currently there. And with the density change that Heather mentioned, you'd be able to maintain that flexibility going forward in terms of what can go on the site. I know our design team had thoughts as well. And if anyone else had comments too, you know.
Yeah, I can also, this is Natasha from the design team. So as Saquon said, we thought CRN will provide more flexibility for you. And it helps more like creating the street oriented development rather than the TF. And those townhomes development, you can still do it under the CRN zone. So our suggestion is to like more leaning towards CRN. So that's our kind of.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's really helpful to hear. We appreciate that. And thanks for asking that, Elliot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I mean, I would just add as well that if from an economic standpoint, a mixed use building pencils in for you, that's obviously something we support and we'd like to see at this location. I think there's a lot of benefits to that. I think it aligns with the vision in the master plan as well as Thrive to have this kind of development along the major corridors such as 355. So we understand it's challenging from an economic standpoint, but I think from an urban design and master plan perspective, I think that makes a lot of sense. And also from a fire department access, it may be easier to access one building from the main street Edison Lane rather than trying to fit in address fire and rescue from within the site when you have townhomes.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Sandra Pereira, Urban Design Supervisor. I work with Natasha Fahim in the Urban Design and Placemaking Division.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thanks, Sandra. We appreciate that. It's good insight.
Unless anybody else has perspective they want to share, I don't know that I have any additional questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and obviously, Elliot and I will, we'll talk offline. But you know, it sounds like, assuming that he does want to try to move forward, with the mixed use option, or really, frankly, either option. I think, what we would probably want to do is, put pen to paper a little bit based on the comments, the written comments that we received, and then the feedback that we got back, got in this meeting. And then, probably circulate it to MNCPPC, DOT, and Marie LeBois with Fire and Rescue as well, and sort of just have a drill down meeting where we're really sort of, you know, honing in on these, you know, constraints that would affect the building layout, and then obviously flowing through to the open space too. So I think that would be a logical next step if and when Elliot's ready to move forward.
Yeah, and I would appreciate just Marie, your 2 cents, since we do have a couple extra minutes on the comment that Sandra just made regarding fire access when we do have the one building, how that's treated.
So if you oriented your lobby toward Edison Lane, then she's correct in that you have to meet 50 feet to main side inch door. You also have to provide 15-foot clear and walkable along all exposed exterior walls. So you couldn't shove it up against the property line. And you need to figure out how to do that at the back. But she's definitely correct in the primary truck access from Edson would probably be easier to accommodate with a mixed-use building.
15 feet along all
exposed exterior walls, yep. Now, if you have no openings in those walls, then that requirement can be foregone. But if you have walls that have windows and whatnot for your residents, then they have to be accessible for ladder access, hence the 15 feet.
Gotcha.
Okay. So for example, what's showing on plan view, I guess, right, 10 feet, it looks like we'd be having to,
shift.
Yeah, shift that a little
We
bit.
could probably work with 10. I cannot work with less than 10.
Okay, good to know.
So that'd be a discussion item, but workable.
Okay, good to know.
And Elliot, just to add to what Marie said, so from a fire department access, as you heard, there's advantages to have the main door of the building on Edison Lane. And also from an urban design perspective, that's what we would recommend, that the front door of the building is on Edison Lane, so that pedestrians can have direct access to the sidewalk. We don't want to see the lobby of the building or the main entry of the building buried into the site, like in the rear or the side. That doesn't work from an urban design perspective, and it also is not advantageous to you from a fire department access. Does that make
Understood.
sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sandra. That does make sense. We appreciate that.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you
Elliot,
very much,
anything
everybody,
else?
for your time. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been super helpful. Thank you so much. I sung the praises of the concept plan process to Elliot, and I just wanted to thank you all again because I think this is just so informative and helpful for us. And then as we start to form a relationship with you all on this site, hopefully it's helpful for you and results in a project for everybody moving forward. So we really appreciate the time and energy and focus you put into these concept plans.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. We will look forward to meeting with you as you guys move forward.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
This is Neil Bronson again. We have item number 3 for DRC. It's a site plan for Shady Grove Life Sciences Center. And for your information, the meeting is being recorded. Adam, whenever you're ready. Yep, go ahead.
Yep, thanks, Neil. So this is the site plan amendment F for the Shady Grove Life Sciences Center. Our comments were transmitted out to the applicant. I see there are folks online, so good morning. This application really talked about proposing 3 different things. So I'm just going to walk through those with any key issues that we identified in our comments, and then I'll turn it over to Phil and company to run through any questions that you have about it. So that first item that was requested was a change in use from R&D to life sciences. It's a life sciences zoned site in a life sciences use, so staff really didn't have an issue with that. That comes with an associated parking reduction that we felt that you correctly calculated, so we really didn't have any major issues with the change in use that's proposed. There was a issue with the public use space figure that had come up through some of the other earlier amendments. You had pointed out in your application it appeared there was an error. We went through an exhaustive review of that record and spoke with the other staff who prepared those plans. And we do believe that there was an error, so we do want to correct that. And I'm remiss in my DRC comments to you. I didn't actually put the figure that we came down with, so I do want to shoot that out to you now. We believe that the correct public use space figure should be a total of 104,719, and that would be divided with 24,719 minimum required on ownership lot 7A, which is the subject of today's application, and then 80,000 square feet would be the remainder for 7B. Both those figures are slightly smaller than what was required with the C amendment, and that's to account for the loading dock that was installed on 7B with the D amendment. So those numbers did go down a little bit, but we do feel those are appropriate. And then the third item that the amendment asked about was the minor improvements that we see generally behind the building and in the parking area here. These consisted of just some moving around of dumpsters, some security improvements, and some parking adjustments. With that, Phil, I'll turn it over to you and your team for any questions that you have.
Good morning, everyone. Adam, thanks for the introduction there. My name is Phil Hummel with Shulman Rogers. I am land use counsel for the applicant, AstraZeneca. With me today, we have representatives from our team on all disciplines. We have folks from Kimley Horn on civil engineering and traffic engineering, folks from CRB on architecture and project management. And we also have on the line Scott Berth and Omar Melendez from AstraZeneca as well. Adam, thanks for the brief overview on the amendment. Just to give a little bit of context, the amendment is really needed to support AstraZeneca's use of 9950 Medical Center Drive for manufacturing and treating therapies for cancer patients. So this is a very important project for AstraZeneca, and their presence this morning, I think, reflects that. We did receive the DRC comment summary on May 1st. We do have some requests for clarification, starting with fire and rescue. So I'll turn it over to Blaine to talk about that.
Good morning, everyone. So we received a number of comments and related to fire access, and we're happy to take these comments offline, but I just wanted to go over sort of some general, like a general response to that may clarify the existing condition out on the site. So much of the existing condition that relates to fire was approved during the site plan amendment C by previous owners and previous engineers. So we received a number of comments related to curb radii, fire hydrant placement, hose pull length. We're not altering that condition. It exists today. And I think some of the reason for the concern is the format of the plan. You know, you can see, just due to the nature of this being revised a number of times, you have a multitude of existing conditions that overlap one another. So, and this also relates to the public open space comments that maybe we can get into later, but there's an existing photo that I can share that I think may clarify some of this. So this is a response letter we've prepared. If everybody can see this photograph.
We can see it. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the public open space area. When the project was originally entitled and permitted, there was a large circular drop-off area located here where I'm gesturing. And when we began work on the site, this had all been built. So some of the comments relate to fire access and hose pulls and such.
So this is Marilla Ball. All the comments came from me. I'm your fire department access reviewer. So
Okay.
when this was approved, it was approved with that circle, and it was approved to get the main lobby door of the building within 50 feet of edge of pavement.
Mm-hmm.
That does not appear to be the case today. I don't know how that happened, but you cannot make it worse than what the approved condition was. So if something was built that was not approved, that's not something that can remain. So we can take this offline. We can talk about that. That was the biggest hangup. Everything else pretty much looked like an existing condition paperwork. But that circle and distance from main lobby door per prescriptive code can be and should have never been further than 50 feet.
Right.
So we can work with that.
We're not altering it. We didn't alter it. It was approved in Amendment C, and that same condition exists today.
Well, we'll have to go back and look at my records because it shouldn't have been.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Anything else for fire department access you want to discuss?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Phil, should I continue on with the other comments that we received?
Phil, you're
Sorry,
muted.
sorry, I think we want to talk about public use space
Yes.
next.
Yes. So I think the same issue, and I can share the public use plan that we submitted. The same issue may be throwing people off with the public use because there's a couple of issues at play here. One issue is the fact that we got the comment you can't have vehicle circulation in the public use space. That's because I believe the reviewer thought that this was a proposed condition or something, this curve. That's not the case. This is simply the existing condition that is all pedestrian hardscape. These are not parking spaces. These are planters and hardscape features. And you can see that in the image. So it's just confusing due to the amount of line work and revision that has happened here. So they look like parking spaces on the plan, but they're not. They're pavers, and these are planters, and this is all the public use space. The other issue is we received a comment that said the ownership parcel, like the lease lines, are not reflective of the public use space. So we have more than the revised amount that was transmitted earlier in this green box, but not all of it is on the subdivision, lot 7A versus 7B. So we just wanted to clarify, is that truly a requirement that we can only show public use area on our subdivision line? Because that subdivision line sort of goes, it's not consistent with a physical feature anymore. It's really right here. This line right here is the lot line.
Wait, Blaine, just to clarify, when you're talking about lot line, you're talking about ownership lot line and not
Yes.
subdivision lot line.
ownership lot line.
Yeah, so those were comments from me, and it just sounds basically like clarification type things. I think you're gonna have enough public open space. You do need to show that your ownership lot 7A, that you are meeting or above that 24,719. That appears to be the correct number. I think you're gonna have that, but you just need to make sure that that ownership lot line is there, because there was the division and the requirement between the sites, as well as the kind of sum of both of them. So each one does need to stand on its own in that respect, with the way kind of the different amendments have played out. So if you can show where that ownership lot line is there, and, you know, whatever is on 7A is on 7A. I think as, you know, as far as regarding the vehicle area, if that's a pedestrian area, you know, if there's a way to drop.
Hey, if I can jump back in real quick, I was able to pull up my approval, and it does show shared access into the public space for truck access. Do you want me to share my screen and I can do that?
Go ahead.
So this was the last approval that I saw. This was Amendment B. I never saw Amendment C. It does show a 50-foot walking distance from lobby door to edge of vehicular access beyond the edge of the original curb. So this is what I have on file for approval, and this was supposed to be maintained with a mountable curb. If that's not what's there today, it must be restored to this or improved to current code.
That is what exists today.
Okay. So this is what you would need to show me when you come back for your fire department action plan, but it also shows shared vehicular into the public space.
Can I ask, mountable curb, does it mean it should be easy for the fire truck to get on top of the curb?
Correct. So this was originally approved. You see the note over on the right, it says 6-inch mountable curb. I no longer accept a 6-inch, but when this was approved, it was Montgomery County DOT Detail MC 101.01. If this would need to be rebuilt today for whatever reason, it would need to be MC DOT standard MC 104.01. But right now, that's what's supposed to exist out there today.
And team, do we know if that curb right now is a mountable type?
I believe it is.
So
it is mountable. You can drive up on that curb.
Okay. So if this is what exists, this is what needs to be shown to me when you come back for your fire department access approval.
Then tying it back into open space. Thanks, Marie. This is a great. Thank you for bringing that up right now.
Yeah.
If anybody wants a copy of it, let me know. I'll email it out.
Yes, please. So I'd say with the green area that Marie was showing on her plan for vehicular movement, in that same area, that's the light colored pedestrian paved area. Remove that from the public open space if that's the necessary space for vehicular movement. But it looked like that would also come out of ownership lot B's and not 7A. So, you know, check that. And I'd be happy to look at that again with you too after this.
Yep, understood.
Adam, I did have one question. I think there's just a typo on comment 19. What we got reads, please the Y right-of-way dedication and associated. I think there's maybe a word missing or a typo. Can you just please clarify that comment?
Yeah, let me share my screen again. Thank you. Second here. So that had to do with revisions to your data table. There was line on here. I'm not sure if this is something that tied back into the C amendment, because that was the last place I saw it. Looking right here at the line item for right-of-way dedication for CCT. So that's what that question was asking about. Could you explain why it's shown on there and why are we looking at a net tracked area reduction? That's something I didn't see anything in the statement of justification. I saw something in a prior plan about it, but I just wasn't sure if it was being carried forward now and maybe wasn't before.
Yeah, My
That
intuition
number.
tells me, it's just being carried forward. It's not a new dedication, but plain,
Right.
if you
Yeah,
can confirm.
I concur. It
Okay.
was carried forward from the previous amendment.
And
Cool, thank you.
unfortunately, the CCT doesn't even exist anymore, so I don't think we'd be dedicating for that. At least a new dedication. And then I did have a question on, from transportation planning staff. Just to confirm, we are not making any modifications to the existing right-of-way. There was a comment about providing cross-sections for all abutting streets. We just wanted to see why that's being requested if we're not proposing any changes to existing conditions.
Yeah, this is just in with the transportation plan division. So I've asked cross-section, that's a standard for us. So I just add cross-section, we need to see what's existing right now. So it's just illustrating what's currently there. I know that I also outlined the recommendations under the bicycle master plan, which is only if there's outside improvement, then you will trigger that. But as for now, just like cross sections.
So for Great Seneca Highway and Medical Center Drive, you want cross-section drawings of existing conditions?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. And then I think I understand what you're looking for in the circulation drawing, showing pedestrian, bicycle, vehicular circulation. It's just like that line drawing that shows the different pathways for the different modes. Is that what that's requesting?
Yes, yes, just a circulation drawing showing the in and out of vehicle circulation, pedestrian and bicycle circulation.
Okay. I think those were all the questions I had on the comments. I did want to, before we sign off, I did want to confirm with Adam what the resubmission schedule is. We're really trying to keep to the July 30th date. Our deadline falls in the middle of August. So we're really hoping to shoot for the last hearing date in July, and we're going to do all we can to meet that. So just wanted to confirm what the resubmission schedule will be for us to make sure we can still hit that as a target.
Sure. I know that that's the date that we're aiming for right now. So moving forward toward a July 30th planning board hearing. May 26th would be your final resubmission date. Agency letters would be due on June 18th. We'd look to share our draft conditions with you on July 10th. We'd be posting the staff report on July 16th. Again, that's all ahead of a July 30th planning board hearing.
Great. That's very helpful. Thank you, Adam.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments on this one?
Nothing from me. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate your time.
Bye.
Item number 4 for today's DRC is Bethesda Crescent Administrative Subdivision Plan and Forest Conservation Plan in the West County area. And for your information, the meeting will be recorded. That's it, Glenn.
Good morning. This is Saquon Gatling with West County. I'm the lead reviewer for this project. Switching over to the applicant, I'll just note that we sent comments on Friday, thing on all the planning disciplines and input from DPS, DOT as well. Major comments focused on access in general, fire department access, turning and such. Just as a note, I'll turn over to the applicant for any questions they have and can take the conversation from there.
Thank you, Saquon. Matt Gordon on behalf of the applicant, which is a joint venture of MRP Realty and Prime Finance. One quick question at the front, Saquon, what is our timeline for resubmitting for our first resubmission?
Sure. Pull that for you. I think the first resubmittal will be due on May 20th, with the final resubmittal due on the 26th. Sorry, the 25th.
Of June?
Of May.
So you said the May 20th for the first resubmission?
Yes.
And another resubmission 5 days later?
The 26th is the magic date for July 30th. So.
Okay, well, that's what, yeah, I just want to make sure we understand what we need to do, because obviously if we submit on May 20th, we're not going to get comments in time to turn around and resubmit again 5 days later.
Matt, so I would aim for then the 26th, and that would have to be final and perfect. And then then I can move forward for that. So again, we're all on a condensed time frame. And so the resubmittal dates, unfortunately, the way they play out it's very, you just don't have the time in between them for something like this, for a first and a final. So you're really just looking at a final.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I know we just want to make sure we can deliver on our end. So,
but you could also submit early. You could do a first submission at any time. So if you could knock out all the comments in a week, send them in a week. And then you can do that as many times as you want up until May 26th.
Okay. So we'll follow up and coordinate. And I guess I spoke with Deepak yesterday to clarify some of these things. So we'll just go through a couple things, but I think the main.
Just for a second. Yeah. For the benefit of anyone listening, the schedule compression, I just want to say that for the record, this is the first application in advance of the commercial to residential reconstruction. So we're working to get you all in line with that, and that impacts the schedule. So I'll just let you go from there.
Yeah. Thank you, Saquon. For the section, I think there was some confusion for Wisconsin Avenue and East West. So we met with SHA early. There's an existing garage that is located beneath the right of way on a lot of East West and or the proposed right of way, as well as Wisconsin. So we've worked out an arrangement with SHA where we'll provide a public improvement easement so that we can meet the master plan width, but we can't dedicate because the garage is there. So I think we understand that we need to clean up the sections, and we're also going to show the details from Bethesda design guidelines in terms of the pedestrian through zones and the planting zones. We have designed the project to meet all those standards. I think we just didn't show enough detail, which created the comments from, I think, Leah and Deepak. And then similarly to that, Grove Slate's working on the analysis that was requested for the alley, the queuing analysis. So we'll provide that. And then FICA is going to update the truck turn templates because we understand there were some discrepancies there, but we're confident that the alley as proposed will accommodate the truck turning movements. And then the last thing that we had on our list was, I talked with Deepak about it, and we'll talk to DOT about further, but the redesign of the metro access being brought to the corner is something that we received to make it more public because it doesn't work inside the building today. It just is very ineffective. is something that we were asked to look at as part of the design process. We go back to the DAP to talk about that's privately maintained within a WMATA easement, and WMATA has given us, we're going to get something in writing, but they've said they're okay with the design. We need to provide them with additional structural plans and details as it relates to the tunnel that it connects to. But I told Deepak that I'll get him more information on the stairway and then the jump elevator that will allow for access to the tunnel. So we'll provide some updated information. But we've been working with WMATA on that for several months now.
Do you mind if I just jump in here? This is Leah, sorry for transportation. Two things. First thing is, do you mind including me on the emails that you sent to Deepak regarding the access for the metro access?
Oh, I didn't get it.
You didn't know when you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get it. And then the second thing is, I was unable to submit my comment in time. So the specific analysis that SHA is requesting, Saquon provided that comment for you. So if you could follow the directive from Saquon, that is the exact language from SHA regarding the analysis for East West Highway.
I saw the comment. Katie, you understand what they're looking for, right?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay. I think that's all we have. So we're going to clean up the plans, and we'll touch base with Saquon and Stephanie and Elza in terms of like timeline and let you know, but we'll certainly meet the 26th at worst. But if we can knock out most of these comments sooner, then we'll do that. But I think we're comfortable that we can address all these comments.
Okay, thank you. If you guys are happy with transportation, you're awaiting some things from the applicant to take care of those comments, we'll be communicating.
This is Deepak here. Just wanted to mention that you probably need to coordinate with Justin Willits, the BRT group, regarding the right-of-way on MD 355. So just wanted to put it out there that you just need something in writing from him as well. Just please include me and the.
Okay.
What's the right, the BRT?
It's 122 feet, so I just want to make sure that they have station right south of it. They just wanted to make sure that you have.
Where's south of this property?
Yeah. So please coordinate with him.
Yeah, Deepak, when we get some of the updated clarification on the sections, et cetera, I'll send you an email and I'll copy Leah and Justin so that we're happy to talk with him about that.
Can I ask Matt, is the building to the south, is that included in this preliminary plan or this plan?
It's just staying. Yeah, it's part.
Yeah,
it's
I understand that, but it's staying along and so that's where the station is where the other building is, right?
Yeah, close to.
So then do we need additional right of way?
Yeah, we might. That's something which we need to coordinate with Justin.
Okay. Let's set up a meeting and see what he says. And I know in the past we've provided like a condition or, a covenant or something for when that property redevelops, acknowledging whatever the needs are. So we're happy to talk with him.
I mean, if it's included in this preliminary plan, and as long as there's nothing in the way that prevents you from dedicating, like there should be a way to dedicate the land or provide some kind of easement for the station if we go in and put it in sooner than you redevelop that site.
Yeah, if there's no conflict, we agree. I just don't know where the building is located.
Yeah, it sure looks like the building is right on the existing right of way, and we have more than the 122, or I guess the 61.
Okay, but we should see what size the station is and figure out if we know where it's going to go. So then we don't, like, if we come in later and we want to put the station there, and if there's space there, we're not telling you to remove the building, but if there's a place for us to locate it and we have that ability to do that.
Yeah, we're fine with, we'll set up the meeting and talk about it and see what Justin, what they're thinking there.
That's a clarifying question, and I guess this is for you, Saquon, more than anything. This project is coming in 2 phases. At this time, we've only evaluated phase 1. Will it basically come in as a second admin sub? for the CRR? So will it be this phase one admin sub CRR, phase two admin sub CRR?
Matt, have you guys planned for that?
We would probably amend this plan when, if there's additional redevelopment along Montgomery. But right now, we don't know what the timing or schedule could be.
But they come in from amendment, they probably clarity.
Do it again? Okay. Okay.
Okay, we're just making sure that for the access questions, phase two will be taken care of, and it'll be reevaluated at that time, it sounds like.
Yeah, we would show additional details for that alley that's there today. So we can address that at that time.
Okay, and so I just wanted to tie up that last comment we were talking about regarding the BRT station, since that wasn't included in the list of comments and there's gonna be a meeting set up. Just please include comment on that in your resubmit so we'll know what's happening there and we can keep track of that situation.
Okay, yeah, I think there was a DOT comment that said
Okay.
to talk to Justin. I didn't understand. No, I think we understand why. So we'll reach out to him.
Okay. Any other questions for us?
Ian, do you?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, if staff has no further questions, I think that's it. We'll look forward to communicating with you to figure out any interim resubmittals before the 25th, and we'll tie it up for the 25th as we look forward to the site plan coming in.
Appreciate that, the review for this, and we're hoping that these things obviously will roll into the CRR application that we are putting in shortly.
So Saquon, I think the 25th is Memorial Day, so we probably are really looking at Friday.
Tuesday.
Or okay, do we have till Tuesday, or is it the Friday before would be our cutoff?
The 26th would be fine.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Last item for DRC, item 59313 Langford Court. Administrative subdivision plan and forest conservation plan in West County. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Neil. Adam Bossi for the record. We have the applicant and his engineer here, Jeff and Hamed. Thank you for joining us this morning. So this is an administrative subdivision and an associated FCP. This is proposing to convert one existing lot, one existing outlot into two single-family lots to maintain one existing dwelling and add another one. The key issues that were identified in our staff review, there were three of them really. One had to do with the FCP, and that feedback focused on meeting the Chapter 22 requirements through forced banking or fee in lieu instead of the easements that are proposed. The second issue that was identified really focused on the access arrangement that's shown here on the screen, really where the two driveways are coming together with the cul-de-sac. Transportation planning, DOT, DPS, and fire all had some comments for you on that point. And then the remaining review comments generally focused on just various technical revisions to the plans and clarifications, things of that nature. So that's just a quick overview. So Jeff and Hamed, I'll turn it over to you guys to ask your questions of us.
All right. I guess it looks like probably a lot of the comments that I saw kind of were around the driveway, and we were showing separate driveways for the lots. Reasoning for that was more kind of from a marketing standpoint. It tends to be a little bit easier for people prefer, I guess, having their own driveway. You know, in this case, it does kind of create a little bit of a little bit extra curve, especially for that existing, trying to tie back into that existing one. So, I mean, we're going to take a look at an option that would combine those and see how that kind of plays out, and see how quickly we can get back onto the lots, trying to kind of maintain that feel of separate driveways, even though it might be the apron might be combined. So we'll take a look at that. You know, we did work some things out with fire and rescue with the current layout, so I don't think putting a combined driveway really is going to affect that much. So I think we'll still be able to maintain the turnaround that we're looking for in there, because we are removing that center island, which was probably one of the biggest things, trying to get a fire truck up in there and then making the turnarounds between the driveways. So yeah, we'll take a look at that and see what we can come out, and you know, maybe we'll kind of send down an option or two or something like that, just to get a look-see from some folks.
Yeah, I was going to say, just based on kind of the feedback you got, if even just putting some rough sketches together, and you can share them with like Carlos and their other transportation reviewers, I think would be the way to go. I'd also send it over to Marie Labaugh for fire.
Right.
Just to make sure that that group of folks is all seeing the same thing and can give you direction before you really, you know, get back into CAD and pump out final design.
Right. Well, we do everything in CAD, even our side.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, before we do a final, you know, resubmittal, basically, we'll kind of shoot some options around just to see how it looks.
Yeah, if I can just clarify something really quick, if you can coordinate with Marie and Brenda Pardo from DOT, I think that's the best advice I can give. DOT is the lead agency when it comes to access, so they ultimately do have final say on how the access will be approved. But definitely Marie would be the point person for the access width. If it's a shared driveway, I believe there's going to be you're going to have to do an adjustment with the overall width of the combined driveway if you decide to explore it, and also make sure that the configuration of the full driveway as it connects to the back proposed house works also with the potential circulation for the fire truck.
Right, we'll have to upsize the driveway apron width to 20 foot minimum.
Yeah.
And you know, and plus I think we'll have to work with the fire and rescue, sort of their standard configuration that they have developed. So
Marie's the person to talk to.
Yeah. I guess one of the other issues had to do with the sections, with the sidewalk. When this came through concept, we had talked about dedication versus a PIE. One of the reasons is that existing house is currently less than the 40-foot minimum for zoning setback. Because of the age of it, it would still, kind of be considered a legal house. But is it an issue if we dedicate, which we'd probably be dedicating 4 or 5 feet to get kind of that typical section there? Does that then become an issue with the zoning? If
No, I mean, so you don't meet the 40 feet now.
we don't meet it now, if we take less away by re-subdividing by dedication, does that create an issue at that point?
At that point, I don't think so, but I think it's more down the line. If you were to go to rebuild, you'd be looking at having to push the house back a little bit further to meet that setback and stay within the other building restriction lines. But I think that was the one pinch point, was that the front of that house there.
Exactly. Whether or not we do right-of-way dedication or a PIE.
And Sam, was it you I was talking about, or maybe it was Carlos? We were talking through. There's potentially a PUE, PIE, and
Sam.
Sam.
Sorry, you back them. Rough night with my kids, but
What was the question again?
Putting the sidewalk section in there, we're gonna have to expand either more dedication or we work within a PIE or anything future. Given the size, we would go in for a waiver on this, and I would expect we would get that. So sidewalk itself wouldn't be constructed now. So whether or not it's for future PIE or whether or not it's future dedication, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, dedication is always preferable, as you know, Jeff. There are instances that planning and DOT think that, especially planning, that if you have dedication, you're going to create problem from the zoning point of view, from the setback, and all those stuff. Right. In those cases, as far as I can recall, you have accommodated the combination of PIE sidewalk, especially if it's an open section of the swale in the alternate location, right? Swale and sidewalk and everything. So the supplemental amount of space to need to accommodate that can be done by means of right. So, but that's a finding that the planning has to make, that from the setback point of view, the lot minimum size point of view, all the stuff. Dedication is not possible.
All right. I guess before we would want to consider dedication, I would definitely want to verify zoning wise that it doesn't create a condition. Obviously, if the house gets torn down, that's something else. But I want to make sure that it just doesn't kind of throw any issues into it right now by doing that.
yeah, I don't believe it would. I'll follow up to make sure I feel more certain with that answer that I'm giving you, but I don't think it would create that problem. You've got an existing condition there. It predates 2014.
Hey, Adam, we can just follow up with DPS zoning to confirm.
Yeah, thank you. That's kind of where mine was going. Thank you, Stephanie.
Most of the stuff otherwise is fairly minor stuff. One comment regarding, assuming we go for waiver on the sidewalk, the way it was written, it sounded like whether or not we would work out the waiver fee now or a permit. In the past, it's usually a permit, but it sounded like it was written now in the comment. I think that Brenda did, but
there are two ways of getting the sidewalk waived. They get a fee. either it happens now, say that you have to build a sidewalk, but in lieu of it, you have to buy this fee. It's gonna go to sidewalk fund, it's gonna help it plus improving the sidewalk facilities in the future. Or the other way is, it has to be shown now as a requirement, as part of that, it's up. And then time of permits, waive it, get that fee at that time. So I'm not sure, is this one, is the first case or?
So there's the de minimis payment. So you can see if you meet that, but I don't believe you do. I think Carlos ran that. And then there's also a fee in lieu policy. And so if you meet the criteria of the policy, there's topography or utilities or something that includes the ability to do it, then we can consider doing the fee at this stage. Otherwise, it would be at the permit stage. So you can follow up with Carlos, myself, Richard Brockner, with the transportation division.
Okay. I just add, check that regardless of we waive the sidewalk or not, second a case, some point in Berry County or some other developing sidewalk.
Okay. The question on that, the permit stage, does that come after planning or before planning?
The requirement, the right-of-way requirement, any public right-of-way improvement you have to make need to be bonded before you could get your plat recorded. So you need to guarantee the implementation of the right-of-way improvements before you can get your plat recorded.
So basically, the fee has to be paid.
It's a bond.
The bond, well.
If are you talking about sidewalk fee?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, sidewalk fee also needs to be. And the bond with the rest of the right of way work needs to be posted. Or you could get your plat recorded.
You're gonna bring back PIAs.
UPA, well.
No, we
PIA
used to
is-
do the PIAs
is-
with plat. I know, they're much easier, but
That's why it didn't work the way we would like for it to do. And yeah,
we weren't really enforceable. You have, what else do you?
Just very minor. There was just one comment about it's from area transportation, Carlos. MCDOT will request the swale to be modified to a flattened design. And that was not actually noted in DOT's comment, so I don't know if you should be looking for a flattened design for the swale or.
Yeah, this is Brenda Pardo. We're looking for a 2-foot flat swale.
Okay, is that what the flattened was referring
Yep.
to? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And if you can, just make sure you represent it in your cross section as well. The way that the cross section was submitted was a little confusing. So, yeah, I mean, I know we still need to figure out the easements and the dedications and whatnot. So, once everything is assessed and the final design of the swale is determined as well, if we can maybe get an updated version of the overall cross section, it'll be very helpful.
Okay, all right. We can do that.
Is there an existing swale out there?
Yes.
Okay, so would this change the swale? So you're showing what's depicted up
Yeah, I mean, right now it's sort of the old V ditch. but-
and you can change it to a flat bottom.
We have to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing we need to take a look at, which, is what utilities are out there, whether or not that might kick in that first modification or the first waiver phase. Um, But yeah, I mean, that would change up, kind of shift it back, basically. Other than that, there wasn't really anything else that, there's some minor stuff that probably might talk to some folks afterwards, but I think other than that, those were the major points.
Great. Yeah, and we're happy to continue following up with you. We want to see you be successful through this process. And yeah, this came through last fall as a concept plan, which I think helped a lot in terms of just setting the configuration of the property. I think that was very beneficial. So looking forward to getting through the rest of the process with you. That's great. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on Langford Court?
Did you give the dates?
Oh, thank you, Elsa. So processing this application, we are looking at a July 9th. Planning director approval. We don't have a plan on going to the planning board at this time unless we receive any opposition, which we haven't had any at this point. So again, looking for that July 9th approval date. May 19th would be your first resubmission date for the application. You get comments from us May 29th. Your final resubmission would be due on June 8th. Agency letters would come out June 16th. And if we do need to go to a planning board hearing, our posting of the staff report will be on June 29th and ahead of the July 9th date. And again, we're looking to move forward administratively to the planning director at this time. Good. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.